Hello, everybody. Welcome to Revs on Retreat in Lent.
Yes.
Here we are in the middle of the first full week of Lent. So we've had some time to move from ashes into the wilderness. And we want to just hit you with what we've been discovering. And the first thing is that we're not doing Lent.
I mean, we're aware of Lent, but we're not.
We are experiencing Lent.
Yes, but we're not doing what we have done in the past.
Right. We're not taking a book and following it chapter by chapter in either of our lives, in any other parts of our lives.
And in the groups that we are a part of, and most importantly, I think that way of being right now is being supported by some of the online resources that we are using. Same ones as through Advent. Those seem to be the ones that speak to us the most, and that would be Kate Bowler's work. And I access that through Substack. What about you?
Yep, I also see it there.
Yep, and also Diana Butler Bass's work. Again, through not Facebook, through Substack. So that's kind of what we're reading.
Right. And I'm also following along with the Center for Action and Contemplation. Which has a daily reflection right now. And one of the things that has become pretty obvious to me is this whole new way of doing Lent to let stuff speak to us rather than controlled by a book is both freeing and a little scary because it's very open. And what happened for me is that the image of wilderness, because it's the first weekend and it was the first weekend in Lent, and wilderness as it came up in also in Advent with us, it has come up for me. And from three of those three particular resources, all of them have been touching on wilderness and speaking language that reminds me that we're living in a wilderness, and so we have taken permission from a couple of those resources not to do Lent in the same old way, but to look at everything very differently, and listen for nudges that speak to us. And for me, one of them was this business of being on a journey through a wilderness that was never a straight line. It was zigzags and 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and so on. And that gives me permission to forgive myself, which is another big thing in Lent anyway, to forgive oneself for your mistakes. And that has been really helpful.
Yeah, when you were saying that, I was thinking that is a turning, and turning is definitely part of the Lenten journey, turning away from things, turning toward things. And that would also fit with what you were saying about a path that goes back and forth, because that's turning in and of itself. Yeah, so we were talking also about alignment was a word that came up, and I was telling Margaret about something that I read that talked about the question or the desire to be aligned with where we want to end up. And where we're going, the image of every step that you take in your life is that bringing you to where you want to end up? Because if it's not bringing you to where you want to end up, then you need a course correct, because you're going to end up somewhere you don't want to be.
Right.
And then the question came up, great question. So where do I want to end up? What is it? What is that end point? And my feeling is that I'm not able to be responsible for saying what the end point of everything is for me. Instead, I experience that as God drawing me toward whatever is at the end of my journey. And my work, especially during Lent, but all of the time really, is to be open enough to be able to hear or sense or not even understand, but to right, that motion, that pulling toward the heart of God. That is where I think that's the end point, but I can't define it any further than that, obviously.
Right.
So that's
we talked a little about how centuries maybe of Christianity, the end point is always getting to heaven,
right?
And that's no longer true for us. That's not the point. And so this business of being drawn by God is so helpful for me. It's compelling. Freeing and it's compelling, and it's scary.
Yes.
It's scary because I'm not the one in control.
That's how we know that it's of God, because it's all those things, right, including the scary, because being able
change.
yes
It requires change. And who wants change? No, we want to be safe and secure, and that's not how it is. And life experience in the United States and the world right now is not terribly secure,
right,
and safe. And yet, if we are drawn by God and staying in connection on the path, then there is a safety that is a new definition of it, a security that's not the traditional way of the world.
Right.
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 Yeah.
Yes, our security comes from a different place.
Yeah, it does, and it feels different. It gives me some confidence that I can let go of some things. That's the other thing about Lent, and allowing God to speak to us rather than controlling how God does what God does.
Yes.
Is that sometimes you're faced with all of your idiosyncrasies, crazinesses, wrong thinking, addiction, any of that stuff, and that is a call to work on this path being aligned.
Right. One thing I want to mention about this is that we talked about, maybe you read the post that that I wrote last week about the analog movement, and if not, I'll make sure that it's up on the Revs page on Facebook if you'd like to read that. But in a very short summary, it's a movement, especially among younger people right now in the U.S., that is somewhat a renouncing of digital life in order to focus more on doing things in the analog, in the same way a digital watch or an analog watch are two different ways to approach knowing what time it is. And I think that some of that processing that you're talking about is a real feature of the analog way of living. And the example that we were talking about earlier is that you have a puzzle going at home. And go ahead and talk about that.
It's so non-digital. It's so physical.
Yeah, right.
And And it's so freeing because it's not the most complex thing in the world. You know, there's a picture. It's not one of those difficult puzzles. So that while I'm doing that, I am able, my brain and my eyes are working together with my hands to find the right place where things fit. But what my soul is doing is processing, because there's nothing coming at me from the outside as there is in digital. Mm-hmm. I'm free of that. And so it's a way for me of making space. I don't know what your way, maybe it's knitting or who knows.
Writing, by hand, or writing a letter or a journal entry or something like that. Or maybe it's shoveling snow at this point here in Rochester, or something very analog. Yes. But that kind of thing.
Yeah. So we look forward to you telling us some of the things you're doing and what you're finding out. And if you reply to us, we'll be thrilled. We'll know that you're listening.
That's right.
And that's just sort of an image for us knowing of God, that God knows we're listening if we're paying attention. So may it be a listening Lent.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and one of new ways to understand or practice during that time. That is about preparation.
Mm-hmm. All right. See you next time.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Bye.